Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for another Garage Gun Talk. And I think this one's going to be a little bit spicy. I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with this, mainly because when I come out here to the garage, I often have not necessarily a bullet point script for these videos, but I generally think, what do I want to talk about? And sometimes I forget aspects of things that I meant to mention to you guys. So I might do that in this video because, like last night, I'm still kind of in a funk. Which, by the way, I do have to apologize in advance for the little hum in the background. It is a little bit warm out here in the garage today, so I got to have my fan kind of blowing on me so it keeps me cool and not agitated. But it's been, well over 24 hours now since all the news of the Charlie Kirk thing. And as far as I know, as I'm recording this right now, they still have not found or identified the perpetrator. So there's a lot of unknowns out there. And of course, there's a lot of fallout when it deals with social media stuff, what people are saying, what people are doing, how people are reacting. And I feel uncertainty in a lot of people, and I kind of wanted to talk about that. And I'm not going to put it in the title of this video because I don't want it to be clickbaity. But I have a lot to say about a fellow gun YouTuber that I think is honestly part of the problem. And I will call him out by name. I'm going to be hitting up because he's way bigger than me, but we'll save that to the end. But I wanted to talk guns first. It turns out today, if you haven't heard, they supposedly found the rifle that was used in the assassination, and it turned out it was a Mauser action of some type. So it's either going to be like a Winchester rifle. I mean, it could be an old imported Mauser. It could be like, like I said, it was imported. That tells me that it's probably not an American company like Ruger. It could be an old German Mauser that got sporterized and put into a different stock. I tend to think that's what it is. The picture that they released, the person that mounted the scope obviously had no idea what they were doing, in that the rings were like right up next to the turrets. He mounted it so far back it would have like weird eye relief. So I don't think the person knew what the heck they were doing. And it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. A 30 caliber projectile, bolt action, because I had mentioned in last night's video, I feel if somebody would have had an auto-loading rifle of any kind, like an AR, AK, something else, I really feel like they would have fired off more shots. And I feel that because it was one shot, they were pretty confident that they had accomplished their task. They took off, and they wanted something that wasn't going to eject a casing, which is, smart in assassinations. We talked about the famous well rod pistols from World War II. They're like bolt action pistols, and you don't have to run the action on them, so there's no shell casing. So it helps hide your identity, helps hide information. But when it comes to the gun, it is everything I think the anti-gunners wish it wasn't. But I'm not hearing people on our side talk about this because with the passing of Charlie Kirk and with how everything went down, I feel that we have a real opportunity here to show that we are right when it comes to gun control. So I had to unfriend a few people on my personal Facebook account today because some of them are liberals, and they were all saying stuff about either gun control or kind of celebrating the assassination. I did not react to them. I did not, respond to them. But the one that got me the most was somebody that said, maybe this will be a wake-up call for conservatives because all of this could have been avoided if they passed gun control. And we had more, what do they always say, common sense gun laws. And they had even quoted a post from the Moms Demand Action stuff. And it got me thinking. I really wanted to engage with this person, but as I said, I just unfriended them. But I want to ask, what gun law would have changed anything about this? Well, their biggest thing is assault weapons bans. That is the top, that is it. Well, it turns out this is a bolt-action rifle. Old Mauser action that goes back to the 1800s. And it was not a semi-auto. It was not magazine fed. Internal magazine based off of the pictures that I've seen. So an assault weapons ban wouldn't have done anything. Nothing. It had a fixed stock, not a threaded barrel, bolt action, not magazine fed, didn't have a telescoping or folding stock, didn't have a vertical foregrip, it didn't have a bayonet lug, it had nothing. It is exactly the rifle that all the anti-gunners are always saying, you don't need 30 rounds to kill a deer. I go hunting with my granddad's rifle. It was like a granddad rifle is what it was. That's it. It was the gun they tell us we should have. Not the stuff on my back wall. It is the stuff, it is the gun that they say we should have. That the one that is safe. The one that is that would minimalize, events like this. Magazine bans. Would a magazine ban have prevented this? He fired one shot. That's it. He didn't even run the action on the gun. So he could have had a magazine that was 1,000 rounds. It didn't matter. But the gun he had, internal magazine, held like 5 or 6 rounds, and that's it. So well below. So an assault weapons ban wouldn't have worked. A magazine ban wouldn't have worked. So what else is there? Okay, background checks. Now, they're running a trace on this rifle, and most likely we're going to find out that the person that initially bought it passed the background check. Now, do I think it's going to be the person that bought it, ends up the assassin? I seriously doubt it. This could be a stolen gun. It could be a lot of things, but the initial sale was a background check. What about registration? So do you think that somebody that has it in their heart to kill somebody like this would even register their guns or care if it was registered? But this is not the type of gun that is needed to be registered in any state. It's a bolt-action hunting rifle. They don't even care about those, even in places like California. What about sometimes they say, well, you need liability insurance. Well, an insurance policy is not going to pay out when you're the person doing it. So that law wouldn't have prevented anything. How about gun-free zones? It happened on a college campus, which is a gun-free zone. And those gun-free zone signs didn't do jack shit. What about laws against murdering people? Well, those have been on the books for a long time, going back to biblical times, right? Well, thou shalt not kill didn't stop this assassination. A background check on ammunition? Well, if the person could pass a background check to get the gun, he can pass a background check to get the ammunition. What law is there? So all the people right now that you see on the left that are trying to turn this into a gun issue, we really need to make sure that we tell them every law that you want. Ask them, what law do you want? And tell them none of it would have changed anything. None of it. And even if they say they wish that all guns were illegal, that horse left the barn so long ago, it's not even funny. Even if you had a huge compliance rate, which you never would in the United States, and they stopped all civilian sales of firearms, people don't realize how many guns there are in America. You ain't getting them all back, and they don't have a shelf life. And you can make guns at home. You can improvise guns. People are going to get guns. Oh, that's another thing. What about is it like a 3D printing ban or a you can't build guns at home law? Well, the gun wasn't built at home. Another law that wouldn't have worked. So not a single gun law that they want to pass would have prevented this. And we need to drive that home. And it just goes to show that these liberal anti-gunners have no effing idea what they're talking about. But I don't hear anybody driving that fact home. And it pisses me off. The next thing that's pissing me off, in fact, before I turned on this video or started this video, I'm sorry, guys. I'm still a little bit frustrated. It's been a rough day because I've been feeling a lot of emotions. I don't typically feel things. I'm not a very emotional guy. But this one really got me fired up. My friend Matt, who's lent guns to the channel, he was texting me. In fact, I think he's texted me before. I kind of see the notifications on my phone. He was talking about how disheartened he was about how so many of our fellow Americans are celebrating this. And can there really be that many people that feel that way? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Because we live in a very diametrically opposed society, and I think we all feel it. It's like there's two nations, two different ideologies that coexist geographically in the same place. And we have just enough overlap that it doesn't devolve into chaos, civil strife, and civil war. We have enough shared values on basic things, and we're comfortable enough that we don't want to risk those things, that things don't escalate. But I fear that those days are coming to an end. Because we have people in this society that can't look at the humanity of this situation. Can't look at a man that all he did was go to college campuses and talk to people. Now, you are free to disagree with his policies or his positions, and that's not what I'm saying. Like that's what debate is all about, right? And having these conversations about anything. It could be the country, politics, it could be guns, it could be cars, it could be what the best type of grass is for your yard. We have discussions, and we learn from each other. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to agree with each other. And we can think each other are morons, and that's okay. I know there's a lot of people out there that think I'm a moron. There's people out there that hate me. Trust me. I can think of one person that I was telling you about recently, a complete asshole in my field of music, who's a complete ignoramus, okay? He's a narcissistic asshole, and that is it. But I don't wish harm upon him. And he hates me. I know he hates me, but I don't think he wishes harm upon me. And that's okay. It's the way the world works, right? You're not going to get along with everybody. But there's people that can't see the humanity in this. I don't know how anybody, any human being, and I don't care about Charlie Kirk's political positions, even though I agree with most of them and thought he was doing the Lord's work. Just talking to people. He never yelled at people. He never called them a name. He never degraded them. Did he make people feel uncomfortable because he challenged their positions? And he was very smart, brilliant, and witty, and could, on a dime, turn something around on them, that they would say something and he would just spit out some facts, some truth. Okay, yeah, he made people feel uncomfortable. But not once did I ever hear him say anything that was bigoted, racist, people saying homophobic, hatred. None of it. He just had conversations with people. He never raised his voice. Nothing. That's all he did. And because he had dialogue and he was so successful, they had to kill him. And people celebrate this. I don't know how you can watch the video, the 4K video of somebody that was filming it probably 10 to 15 feet away, and to watch him sitting there and get hit in the neck, and to see what happens to his body and him turn, and just the blood just ooze out of his body, out of his neck. I mean, it was traumatizing for me. I mean, I'm okay. I'm okay. And that's why I have said so many times on this channel, I hope and pray I never have to use my gun in self-defense. I pray nobody ever breaks into my home. I pray I'm not at a restaurant and somebody comes in and tries to harm me, my family, because I will have to defend myself. And I can only imagine the emotional toll and consequence that takes upon you to hurt somebody, even if they're trying to hurt you, or to take their life and to realize your actions caused that. But also to watch somebody have that happen to them. You know, we're not talking about like a deer or a hog, you know, like you're hunting. And I've seen that kind of stuff, you know, like hunting videos. I'm not a hunter. I've never taken any game at all. I believe in ethical hunting. You know, you get a license, you have your bag limit, you know what you're supposed to take. And I've seen videos of people shooting hogs, shooting deer, and I know I've seen that. But what I saw on camera just wasn't that. It was a human life. And I had no idea, just on a video, how much blood can exit somebody's body in a second. I mean, obviously, it tore the carotid artery. And I'm sorry if I'm getting graphic, but you know, your heart is pumping all the time and it's under pressure. The blood, you know, your bloodstream is under pressure, and it just went, whew. And it was just shock. And I can understand, even in that little moment, what soldiers that are in the battlefield must experience. Because I just saw it on a video, and it was one time. And I'm just, it's something for me. So I can only imagine what seeing it in person is like. Or being the person that has to tend to that person medically, or if it's your buddy in a battle zone, or you have to do it defending your life. I don't know. Just the humanity of it. There's something so intrinsically special about life. And I don't think people understand that. And to, without hesitation, without thought, without remorse, without pause, to celebrate the death of somebody that has done nothing to you. Nothing. I understand the death of some people being righteous retribution. I mean, we all talk about, everyone talks about, Hitler, right? Everyone, says, if you're a conservative, you're like Hitler, Hitlerian, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can look at a Stalin, a Mao, a Saddam Hussein, Hitler. You can look at Mussolini. I mean, all the people throughout history that have the blood of millions on their hand. You can go, okay, like Mussolini got, shot and then hung upside down. You don't really feel remorse for them. You don't. Because they weren't human. Because we can all agree that what they did was inhuman. They were monsters. But how in today's world can you compare somebody that wasn't a politician, had no political power, didn't hate anybody, and just had conversations with people? Sure, made people feel uncomfortable, and wished death upon them. What kind of evil is that? That's pure evil, and people don't appreciate the value of life. The fact that you exist, regardless of what religion you adhere to, what you believe. Think about the blessings of your life, even if you don't think they're blessings and you're non-religious. The fact that you are here, the fact that you exist to witness the universe, to witness to be here, to even ask yourself, who am I? What am I? What is this? To experience joy, to experience anger, to experience love, to experience hate, to experience everything that the world has to offer. And to just be able to willingly just put no value to that. And these people walk amongst us. I take no joy when my political opponents are victims. You know, a lot of the left right now are saying, what about those Minnesota legislators that were murdered? When that happened, I didn't see any conservatives, libertarians, Republicans going on social media saying, I'm glad that they died. I didn't see that. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe there was one or two people that did it. Trust me, there's a lot of assholes out there on both sides. But I guess it was a handful, maybe. But I didn't hear about it. I didn't see it. And if I did, I would condemn it. Because my political opponents shouldn't die. You know, when Joe Biden was president, I mentioned this on this channel a number of times. I never wished or hoped Joe Biden would be assassinated or killed. Because it would be wrong. Because Joe Biden never hurt me. Yeah, he had policies I disagreed with and, you know, might cause me political heartache, you know, when it comes to taxes or gun control or this or that. What I wanted for him was to lose the election, to live, go and to, you know, sit in his wheelchair, you know, they roll him out, he gets to see his grandkids, he has a smile on his face and eat ice cream all day. But just out of power. I never wished harm upon him. I've never wished harm upon any of my political opponents. None of them. Even the ones that want to strip me of everything I have, want to take every bit of my gun rights away. I might be angry at them, I might dislike them, I might even hate them, but I don't wish harm upon them. And I would never wish harm upon them or their families or any of that. I feel that this moment in history has changed something, and I think we all feel it. And what's changed is for so long, people like us have just taken it on the chin. We've sat back and haven't fought back. You know, we always say that Republicans are, you know, whiny little bitches. They don't do anything. And we talk about how when Democrats get power by one vote, they ram it through. They make sure their agenda goes through. We get so frustrated with our elected officials. We don't fight. And then when people, and I'm sure some of you are like this, I know it's happened to me, you know, you talk politics with somebody, whether it be in person or online, you know, and you can say, you know, I'm against race-based admissions in colleges. I think it should all be done by merit. And you're going to get the people, how dare you? You're a racist, bigot, homophobe, blah, blah, blah. You're Hitler. You're a Nazi. You're a white supremacist. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How did this get elevated to this level? You know, if you disagree with me, you know, there's so many levels between here and there. You know, like people were saying Charlie Kirk was hateful because he said that if he went on a plane and saw a black pilot, he was going to question if that person was hired because of DEI. Okay? Now, you could agree or disagree with that statement. We can have a discussion on that statement. And if you wanted to take the position of, that might be a prejudicial thing to say, maybe you're assuming too much, you can say that is a very judgmental or prejudicial statement without going to, you're a white supremacist, hateful bigot. I mean, the worst thing in today's society you can call somebody is a racist, right? But that accusation is thrown around just by, like, you know, you walk down the street and you happen to, like, not look at somebody the right way. Oh my God, you're a racist. You know, it gets elevated from here to here. You go from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour in the flash, like a flash in the pan. And as conservatives, libertarians, Republicans, however you fall in this spectrum, we've taken it on the chin for so long. We just let it roll off. There's somebody calling me a bigot. There's somebody calling me a racist. But you know in your heart of hearts you're not. It's just like the trans thing. I've mentioned that I know I'm in the music business. I'm surrounded by people that are liberals, that are trans, that are the things that I politically disagree with. I don't hate them. I'm friends with them. And as long as we don't talk politics, we get along. I can sit next to somebody that's very different than me. In fact, I do all the time and play music with them. And afterwards, I say, great job. You sounded awesome. It was a pleasure to play with you. And go home. I don't think about them. I don't hate them. I don't anything. But there's so many people in this world that can't do that. I don't know. I feel like after the 2 Trump assassinations, and now we had these school shootings perpetrated by liberal crazies, trans people. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying all trans people are violent or have these issues. But it's what's happening lately, right? You have to look at the trends. Now you got Charlie Kirk taken out. I think it's woken up a lot of people. And I think the feeling that we all have is that it's time to change. It's time to metaphorically fight back, not physically fight back. To start standing up. We let people on social media say things on the left with no repercussions. We shut up. I don't know about you, but on social media, I don't say anything politically. I do worry about my job or my relationships with other people, friendships. And out of respect for them, I don't say anything. I try to be kind. I try to be non-confrontational. But people on the left say whatever they want, and we just shut up about it. And they get away with it all the time. But that's the way it's been. I think you're going to start seeing things change. I don't think we're going to see civil war or civil strife immediately. I think you're going to see an awareness grow. But I also think if this happens one more time, you will see it go over the edge. And I fear that's going to be the case. Because if this person is caught and he becomes, deified by the left as a hero, it's only going to incite other people that are crazy and that have no value of life do something like this to another conservative politician, commenter, whatever. And once it starts happening, you're going to start seeing the right go, that's it. I'm not saying they're going to start shooting people or whatever. Actually, I do worry about crazies on our side. Say, you've taken out 2 or 3 of ours, we're taking out yours. That's how things escalate. And I don't want it to get to that point. It has to. We have to cool this off. But I think that's the feeling we're all having. So that's my thoughts on the gun. Why we need to work hard to share this information about the gun to all the anti-gunners and let them know that the gun laws they want to pass would have done nothing in this case. And I think that in a respectful way, we have to start standing up for ourselves better. As libertarians, conservatives, Republicans, whatever you call yourself. In a respectful way. And stop allowing people to call us these names. Because Charlie Kirk set the example for us. He did it in a respectful, intelligent way. And we need to follow his example. And his passing, I think, has woken people up. And I saw a great meme today. It was essentially they photoshopped Charlie Kirk's face onto Obi-Wan Kenobi holding a lightsaber. And it was from episode 4, Star Wars, where he tells Darth Vader, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. And they struck Charlie Kirk down. And he is now more powerful than they ever could have imagined. His influence and what he did is going to spark a change in culture that they could not have imagined. So now, we've reached the point in the video I'm going to call somebody out. I normally don't do this, but I'm pissed at this person. The person I'm talking about is the Yankee Marshal. Because the Yankee Marshal is the person and the reason we have issues like what happened to Charlie Kirk. Now let me explain. Now, I want you to know, before I say my piece on this, I am not attacking him personally. By all outward accounts, he seems like a decent guy. He seems to care about animals. He seems to care about charities for vets, and that's wonderful. He seems to be a good father, that he seems to care about his sons, his family. So I respect him for that. Okay? So nothing I say should be construed as a personal attack of him or his character. Okay? But I take great issue with what he said in his video yesterday, where he was talking about Charlie Kirk. Now, he is free to disagree with everything Charlie Kirk believed and stood for and said. That is within his right, and I support that right to have that disagreement. He also said that the killing of Charlie Kirk was wrong. So I give him credit for that as well. Where he went wrong is he called Charlie Kirk a racist, a bigot, and a homophobe. And this is what I was talking about a minute ago. How they escalate all the time, to go from here to here. I dare you to tell me where Charlie Kirk ever said anything that was racist, homophobic, or transphobic. Now listen, you can say, I feel that what he said was prejudicial, or I disagree with him because of this, or maybe he would jump to a conclusion. But to be a racist means you believe your race is superior to others. It's better. I can't see anywhere where Charlie Kirk ever said that. And if you think he implied it, well, then that's going to be on you if you're not... I think it's you projecting what you think he said. Same thing goes with the transphobia. I never heard him say anything personal or vindictive or hateful or spiteful or call for the deaths or injury of any trans person. In fact, I've heard the opposite, talking about them getting mental health so they stop unaliving themselves because they tend to do that. He wanted to get them help. And he just didn't want men in girls' bathrooms. That's not transphobic. Phobia means you have a irrational fear of something, right? Hoplophobia is the irrational fear of guns. Arachnophobia is the irrational fear of spiders. It means that you fear something without having any reason. Okay? But if you fear something with reason, that's not a phobia, by the way. But I don't think he had that. He didn't fear trans people. He was totally fine being around them. He was fine talking to them. He could use the restroom with them. I have no doubt about that. But the fact the Yankee Marshal goes from 0 to 100 like this is so disappointing. And because people like that have that rhetoric, it gives that carte blanche approval to other people to go, if that person literally is Hitler, that person literally is the KKK, that person literally, if they had power, would put me in a concentration camp. It validates their irrational thoughts that tells them that they can hurt and kill other people. Now, I am subscribed to him. Now, I have been a subscriber to the Yankee Marshal because I believe we should listen to people that have contrary opinions to ours. And the Yankee Marshal for a long time has been a contrarian. And in the past, the far distant past, I thought he was really funny. Like, he made some funny content. Really funny content. But he's the problem now. He is the problem. And if you support him, I don't know why. He's always begging for money for his charities, which is great. I'm glad he has certain things he supports. But I wouldn't give $1 to him. He is the reason, Charlie Kirk, not personally, he is part of the problem of the reason things escalate. Because instead of just saying, I disagree with Charlie Kirk, here is what Charlie Kirk says, here's why I disagree with it, which is totally fine and great for dialogue, great for learning, great for discussion. he immediately goes to, he said racist, bigoted, and homophobic things. Boy, that is a huge accusation to levy against somebody. And it dehumanizes people. It's really easy to kill Hitler. It's really easy to say, man, that person's a racist. That's the scummiest person on the earth because they have that one characteristic that is irredeemable. They're not human anymore. They can die. So I finally unsubscribed to him. I used to listen to him because he said stupid shit that I disagreed with. But I liked to be challenged. You know, one of the things I recommend to you guys is to listen to people you don't fully agree with. Because I have learned a lot from people I don't agree with. Some people have opened my eyes. They might not change my opinion. Sometimes they actually have. But I listen to them with open eyes and open ears and go, why does this person think differently than I do? I might learn something and realize I was missing out on something. So I never subscribed to him because I liked him. I mean, as a person, he seemed like a decent guy. Now, some people will have a hard time separating that. But for me, I listened because he was a contrarian. And it was almost like that annoying thing. Like, you would listen to him and go, oh, God, what's he whining about this time? Oh, God, he's getting into a fight with this person. And it was kind of like fun to watch the train wreck, you know? But it was more entertainment because you're like, oh, you know? But he wasn't hurting anybody. And what he said yesterday I thought was absolutely despicable. Despicable. To say that he was a racist, which I said dehumanizes. So I don't know. You guys tell me, what do you think of the Yankee Marshal? For a long time, I've been a defender of him because I said I don't agree with him on much. I like the fact he's there because he's a contrarian. I like the fact that he had different points of view. I like the fact that he tried to bring other people into the gun community from a different perspective. And I appreciated that. And I would listen to him from time to time. But that is over. I cannot get over that. I don't think he should be exiled from the gun community, but I don't know what you guys think. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I was just frustrated like crazy. So I'm angry, frustrated, and we got to do better. We have to do better. We got to stop throwing around the names. We got to, guys. We got to. So anyway, so that's all I got for you tonight. So tell me what you think in the comment section. I'm sorry, this is rambling. I didn't really have a plan on this one. I just came out here, turned on the phone, and talked. So let me know your thoughts. The word of the day, if you want to participate in that, if you made it to the end of this 38-minute video, which is really long, so thanks for hanging out here with me, is going to be despicable. Despicable is the word of the day because the person that assassinated Charlie Kirk is despicable. So many of our fellow Americans are despicable because they celebrate death, destruction, the taking of life. And I think the Yankee Marshal was despicable for calling Charlie Kirk what he did. So there you go. That's all I got for you tonight. Thanks for joining me here in the garage. I guess that's it. So, thanks for watching.